Welcome everyone, my name is Lady Alex and this is Say What with Lady Alex. Today I will be talking to you about a few of my passions and why I created this podcast. Aside from my photography and my many craft projects, my true passion lies with gaining knowledge and sharing it with people to help make a growing and positive community. On this episode, I'm going in depth with my own journey through adulthood and what I've gained and learned about life. In no way am I a therapist or a medical doctor. These are just thoughts from me, a woman trying to live her absolute best life. Welcome everyone, my name is Lady Alex, and today I'm going to talk about me and my inner mean girl. One of my biggest beliefs is that our value does not decrease based on someone's inability to see our worth. I feel like, especially in the society that we live in today, this is so hard to always feel true. Social media and average social norms challenge that idea constantly from an outside and an inside level. Women are constantly being caught saying, "Oh, I just do this," or "I do this little thing on the side. No big deal." When in reality, we are spending every extra minute working our butts off on this goal, cultivating our craft and honing our skills so that hopefully we'll feel secure in our finances and in turn our lives. To me, it's crazy that we put so much effort into accomplishing these goals, but we are the first to diminish our own dreams. We minimize our own successes, and our habits are to make ourselves smaller in hopes of not making others feel bad. Or even our own lack of self-confidence really kicks us down. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. That beautifully said quote from Susie Kasem could not be more true. It's hard not to have it stuck in your head that failure or failing at something, it makes you. It defines you. And it conquers you. I know that it's killed dreams of mine. How about you? And I know I'm not the only one. The amazing Rachel Hollis challenges us to rethink no as merely a redirection. When life keeps going, why would we ever take one person's no as the end? Really, all failure does most is stop or hinder that blossoming passion. For me, failure is an ongoing struggle. My brain will confuse not doing something perfect as a failure. Fear of failure has become so prevalent that it breeds a mean monster called anxiety, a true mental block hindering people to effectively move forward because of what they look like to others or to themselves. It also breeds depression and people stuck looking back at past failures. But what if we could change that narrative? To live without failing at something is to live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all. This is a J.K. Rowling quote, and that woman knows success. But what she first perfected was failure. 11 times that woman presented her ideas only to be turned down, laughed at, and probably made to feel ridiculous for her wild ideas. But had she not gotten off of her butt, brushed off her ego, and tried for that 12th time, we may never know that brilliant world of Harry Potter. Oprah, Steve Jobs, Freddie Mercury, Tony Robbins, basically anyone succeeding at their passion, all have one thing in common, and it's failures. What separates them from the rest is they never let failure stop them. They choose to learn from it. They get rooted harder for their convictions. And they do the undoable. Because without failure, success teaches us none of the hard lessons. Sure, failure can crush you. It can ruin lives and get you to rock bottom. But only if you choose that path. Coming from a girl who has hit rock bottom more times than she would like, the one thing I know will keep you there. It's that awful voice inside you lying to you, berating you, and telling you that you aren't worth it. That mean girl inside your head is strong, and she is smart. From the time that we were tiny, we fed her, and now she's all grown up. That bee is so mean that when she pokes her head out to give her 2 cents, we can't help but feed into those thoughts. We perpetuate a cycle of self-hate and failure, which then becomes habit in our lives. When I was a chubby little girl, full of promise and dreams, if you were to tell her that one day the biggest bully you will ever encounter is yourself, oh man, I would have laughed. But it's true. I remember Ethan in 3rd grade telling me how fat and gross and terrible I was, and just thinking I could just die. Yet in my adulthood, I probably say that every day. Bare Elements Events, creating life's precious memories one element at a time. Everything from planning events, providing talented DJs, or photographers trained to perfectly capture your life's moments. You'll receive personalized mementos you'll cherish a lifetime. For booking information, head on over to Facebook, Instagram, or bareelementsevents.com. Dang it, I am smart and ambitious. I am driven. I'm a great mom and a loving wife. I'm a good listener and an even better talker. Yet those feel harder to say than you're fat, ugly, and stupid. My inner mean girl is the top of the top. She knows all my secret insecurities, and she uses them to fuel a fire that burns my happy house down to the ground. She keeps us stuck in our comfort zones, and she loves it. But what if? What if she shut up? What if we slapped some duct tape over that terrible Regina George's mouth and we make her stop? Do you think it's possible to break the cycle? My 6-year-old, tiny bird of a baby girl, skinny as a whip and brilliant beyond her years, has stopped me in my tracks more than once. One night she asked me, "Mommy, am I fat?" Where does she even get this from? Oh yeah, me. How many times are we going to raise generation after generation of self-haters? Mean little beasts who beat themselves up from the moment they can think complete thoughts. With a movement as wonderful as this, it is striving for balance and inclusion. And I tell you, the time to stop the self-loathing is now. We have to be strong, not just for them, but for ourselves too. Our happiness comes from inside. And if we can't stop the mean girl in our heads, what's to stop it from breeding over into other areas of our life? It sucks the happiness out of the room. It makes us question so many things that we know we are doing right, and leaves us sad, lonely, and full of judgment. And especially in today's society, it spreads like a disease, shooting negativity and sensitivity in every direction. The beginning of October, I took my son to his 1-year appointment. Happy that he was 1 year old, bouncing in the car, singing the songs. It was the first day that it was somewhat chilly. Not like all the way chilly where you have to wear a jacket, but crisp. And as I walked from our warm car to the warm doctor's office, the 10 feet that it took to get inside, a woman sitting on the bench outside the door on her phone pauses her conversation, yells out to me, "Put clothes on your baby!" Mind you, my son had a onesie on, pants. I had wrapped him in his large blanket. I had a t-shirt on, capris, and sandals. But her comment broke me. As I sat waiting for the doctor while my child happily played, I bawled like a baby, thinking, what a terrible mother I am. Why wouldn't I put socks and shoes on my baby? But what What that lady didn't know was that not but 20 minutes before I was hurrying to get my 6-year-old to school and then rushing across town to make sure that we made it on time to my son's appointment, during that drive, my son ripped off his shoes, stripped off his socks, and threw them to the floor. And instead of being the few minutes late to my appointment and fighting the unnecessary fight because it wasn't that cold, we went inside and I thought it would be no big deal. But as the judgment flew out of her mouth, it perked up my mean girl. It was an open invitation for her to run her mouth, validating that mean, unnecessary comment that I'm sure that woman forgot as soon as she finished saying it. My question to you is, why do we accept judgment and comments that enhance our insecurities? I know that I can't change her attitude, but what I can change is how I react to those comments. I'm the only one accountable for my actions and reactions. Her comment made me feel less than. Not because she was the meanest human to cross my path. It made me upset because a stranger was making me accountable for my actions. Her comment very well could have come from a place of love. It might have been worry for my little guy's poor feet. And instead of being grateful that someone cared, that someone looked up from their phone in today's society and actually commented to help my child, I was angry for being called out. Judgments and reactions have become so frequent in our lives that every day and every year, more and more people accept that as negativity. Playing the victim when instead of being hurt and playing the poor me game, we should stop reacting and see it as others seeing the potential that we have and making us accountable for our choices that feed into our distress. Stop investing in your distress. Accept responsibility for your actions. Be accountable for your results and take ownership of your mistakes. Have patience and grace for yourself, for we are all human. And always remember, the standards you set determine the life that you get. Being less defensive to the idea that someone is making you accountable for the choices you make that negatively impact your life, that should not crush you. Stop allowing your excuses to derail you. And open your hearts to the idea that not everyone is out to get you or put you down. The old adage, it takes a village. How? If we are so closed off to the idea of allowing others to help us? Today I challenge our community to come together, united to being better, to feeling better, and to help support each other. So this is where it starts. But once you learn this, it's all up to you to accept the things you learned here and actively implement them in everything you do. Remember that what you choose to put on your priorities list is totally up to you, but it will and does define you. Choose wisely what you say are your priorities compared to what your actions tell the world they actually are. I am here calling on you to stand with me, united as women, and promising that we will be better, not just for the next generation, but for us. Why go out when you can stay in? Lady Alex specializes in fun ladies' night in parties. Pick a craft, pick some drinks, and let's make it an adult house party you'll want to have over and over again. And I don't know about you, but word of mouth is the best form of flattery. So head on over to your favorite platform and let's be friends. You can find me on Instagram as @thereal_Lady Alex or on Facebook at Say What with Lady Alex Podcast. Let's connect. Hey podcasters, musicians, or anyone needing a commercial. Have you heard of 27 Productions? Steven is a legendary producer with a master's in music production. His vibrant vision creates a bright passion for what he does. His expertise ranges from album production with various artists. Say What with Lady Alex Podcast and many more. Head on over to 27 Productions Facebook and Instagram, and let's record! Be sure to like and subscribe and contact us for booking information, or go to bareelementsevents.com. So I told you about my struggle with my inner mean girl in hopes that when your Angelica Pickles tells you all the reasons why you shouldn't, that you're brave enough to remember all the reasons why it's a great idea. I recently heard from two of my great mentors that who we keep around us is a factor in how hard we push ourselves. The analogy crabs in a bucket most often comes to mind. If you've ever found yourself at a really great fish market, you can witness this yourself. But here, for those landlocked, like I usually am, the story goes. Local fishmongers will put all their day's crab catch in a medium-sized bucket and not really worry if they crawl out. How would they put so much work into catching these critters if once on land, it seems they don't mind if they escape? The reason they no longer need to pay attention is not because they don't try to escape, because they do, but because once that top crab reaches the top of the bucket, she sees her freedom. One of those crabs, still down at the bottom of the bucket, reaches her claws up, grabs hold, and pulls that home-free crab back in. Now for crabs, it's said to be a measure of safety. I guess safety of numbers, safety of not venturing into danger, whatever it may be. It may work for the crabs, but ladies, it will never work for humans. You might say, Lady Alex, you're asking quite a lot. And I know, you are absolutely right. How do we do all the things all the time? We have to stop ourselves. We gotta make ourselves. And every day, we gotta try and build good habits. Slowly but surely, every time we say, I'm fat, or I hate myself, our brain will tell that habit, no, not today, Blair Waldorf. The more we separate that habit of being truly hateful to ourselves, the easier it is to perfect the habit to love ourselves. You say or do something long enough, it becomes just who we are. Why choose an inner voice that crushes you? So build those important habits to stop yourself every time those mean thoughts arise. So you're not where you want to be. Do you think that being mean to yourself will ever garner you results? Remember what I just said failures do? So how is dwelling on your past failures getting you to your future? I'm pretty sure we just went over that, and it was the definition of depression. Remember my daughter, the very dramatic 6-year-old who broke my heart earlier? Well, she and I recently got into a disagreement. What about, you may ask? A wiggly tooth. A tooth so loose, she has to eat on the very side of her mouth so not to bite and jar her tooth. How may this have any relevance to our conversation? Well, our argument started because as she told me an amazing story of something I'm sure you probably don't care about, I noticed the gums above her tooth, a shade darker in the area above the loose tooth and significantly so compared to the other gums. So I mentioned how she needed to pull that tooth or let me. And in roll the waterworks. But Mom, she says with a huge crocodile tear welling over now, it's gonna hurt. Yes, my love, but only until it's out, and then the pain goes away, just like when we pulled all your other teeth. Mind you, this will be her 3rd tooth she's lost, so she knows the drill. Mom, I can't, and she wails. We table it, let the emotions calm down, and then I say, if you let that tooth stay, you will get an infection. Then comes the real pain. They will have to give you shots and surgery. You may look funny and be in more pain than you are when I pull it. So your choice is a little pain or a big pain. She says, little. And then we move on. But what the takeaway is, change in any form can and will hurt just a little. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more about how amazing our local female community is in challenging themselves to make an incredible place to live. Next week, we have an awesome opportunity to chat with maybe you, so be sure to come back and hang out with us again. Breaking habits of fear of change can improve your quality of life. It can open new doors and may even bring joy and finances into your life. You may find passion you were too afraid to try and change the complete trajectory of your life. How are we ever going to be our true and authentic selves if we are too afraid to be? Brené Brown says, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Spoken as if she knows. Oh, wait. She's been spending the past 2 decades studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. Her TED Talks about the power of vulnerability is one of the top 5 most viewed TED Talks in the world. So I think she kind of knows something. Living authentically is so hard. It's being able to put yourself out there, and you have to be strong enough to let the bad reviews not matter to you. Being authentic does not mean everyone will like you either. To be honest, it sometimes feels like lots don't. But would you really want 500 friends or 20 really good ones? When does quality mean more than quantity? I know from my own personal experience, being my authentic self brings the people I need in my life. Being sure of oneself challenges the weak to account for them feeding into your distress. Stop allowing those scared of your big dreams to stop you from charging right after them. Authenticity of oneself will never come at the expense of another. So let's get back to the crabs, can we? One tries to escape, and the other pulls it back down, and so on until the end of time, right? Wrong! Why couldn't they all just work together? The one that gets to the top reaches down, pulling crab after crab after crab out of the bucket. While that is highly unlikely for the crabs, it is very possible for us. We could stop using distrust and selfishness and create a network. Let's call it, for smart Alec's sake, a community. And we can live happy, authentic lives, growing generation after generation of intelligent, self-confident go-getters challenging themselves to always be better, instead of a society perpetuating lie after perfectly cultivated lie, creating standards that are unachievable, and growing depression, anxiety, self-mutilation, and suicide to exorbitant rates. It almost seems like media, politics, and things the country's it crowd deems as in are all geared towards drama, manipulation, a lack of self-confidence that it breeds. Is that what they're after? It's easier to control a herd of self-deprecating, self-centered, unhealthy people addicted to TV, food, drugs, alcohol than it is for individual thinkers ready to change the world. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to step out of that crowd. I'm ready to be my authentic self, whether people like it or not. And I will continue to challenge those ideas that are rooted in keeping the masses down. I'm ready to break the mold and live uniquely happy. How about you? It's okay to start little. The more you actually change where it no longer feels like the hardest thing to do ever, you can add more habits, one after another, creating the exact woman you were created to be. Okay, so the days are passing, and you have a bad day, because let's face it, change is hard. Don't justify this as just who you are. Give yourself grace for being human. Stop beating yourself up and enjoy your moments of weakness, because at the end of it, you chose it. And if that's what you wanted in that one tiny moment, it is not the end of the world. Your life isn't defined by eating one cupcake on your birthday, so stop beating yourself down. Reach out, call a friend, unload your purse, pick yourself up, and move on. The more you do that, the easier it becomes, the less your life will be happening to you, and the more life will be happening for you. Perspective can change slowly if you're taking deliberate small steps in the right direction. You blink, and you have everything you need to live your best life. I'm ready to build a community of women ready to be incredibly authentic and always striving to better everything around us. Are you a rock star female of Western Colorado who's constantly working your butt off to achieve your goals? Would you like a chance to tell Lady Alex and your friends about your passions? Big or small accomplishments, I'm calling all awesome moms, bosses, wives, and all-around lady bosses out to be on the new Say What podcast with Lady Alex. Finally stop trying to make yourself smaller and spotlight all your accomplishments that make you a rock star role model of the week. You can apply on Facebook at Bare Elements, subject line Podcast Opportunities. Together, let's change the narrative. Let's stop using words that implicate that what we do in any way is small, not worth it, or unimportant. We are all some super rad ladies working hard every day, accomplishing goals, and not wanting recognition. But now I'm here to say, let's embrace our success and enjoy our wins. When you spread it around, more of us win. Someone does not have to lose for you to win. When we support each other and our wins, everyone wins and everyone benefits. And that is a world I do want to live in. Come on back for episode 2, where we start inviting some incredibly talented women in to talk about how we as women do it all. We are kicking it off with Victoria Johnson, a strong, independent mom of many, a supporter of everyone she cares about, and a new local small business owner. She's going to open up about her struggles and give some much-needed co-parenting tips we can all learn from. If you liked this podcast and found any value in my words, please like and subscribe, snap a picture and post it to your social media, and don't forget to tag me to get recognition in future episodes. That's a wrap.